Hey guys, in this one we're going to create interact widget, which we can use for picking up items and interacting with all objects in our game. So let's just start. First thing we need to do is go to your widgets, create a new one, right click, user interface and widget blueprint. Click on the user widget. This one will be interact prompt _w. Open it up. We need to add canvas panel first. In the canvas panel we'll add border. This border we can resize to 30 × 30 and we can anchor it to the middle, so hold Ctrl and Shift and click on this one. That will anchor it in the middle, and now we can add another canvas panel which will be inside this border. Make sure the canvas panel padding is 2, so we got even border on each side. And now in here we can add text and also add image. Right, first thing, change this border tint to something darker. Now select the image, anchor it to the whole thing, so Ctrl and Shift. So now we got a nice outside border, and this text block we can change size to maybe 18. Change the color to color and opacity, so change color to almost black. Z order will be 1. And this will be basically the button that we need to press to interact with items. I got mine set to E for picking up and everything, so whatever is yours, just write it here. We can make this anchored to the whole thing as well, so Ctrl and Shift. And now to move it to the middle, just do a justification and align text to center. There we go. Now we need to add another text. This time anchor it to the whole canvas panel. Sorry, add it as a child to the main canvas panel. This one we can change size X to 300. Go to anchors and anchor it to the middle. So Ctrl and Shift, click. Now offset position Y to 20 and border to -20. So and they're on top of each other. We can click on the text block and justification to the center. This one will basically say something like pick up iron sword, or it can say open door, open chest, and so on. So compile and save. Now what we're going to do is, in our graph, while we're still here, we can create new variable. This will be our item info, so we can pass it some info, item info s. Compile, save it, we can dock it to the project, and now we can open our items. So go to blueprints, items, and interactable items BP. Here in the components we'll add a widget. This one will be our interact prompt. Created a comment, so interact prompt. And with it selected, just change this widget class to interact prompt we just created. Now if you go to viewport, you can already see it. The problem is now it is set as a kind of like a static mesh, and it will be behind other meshes. We don't want that, so here in space, change it from world to screen. That way, even though it disappeared here, it will always be in front. So compile and save, and now if you were to go to game, each object is going to have this interact widget. Obviously we don't want that, so go to your interactable items, go to, just select the interact prompt, type in visibility and uncheck the visible, compile and save. So now it's invisible, and now we need to make only one item that we want to interact with visible. So for that, we go to our player blueprint, in viewport, in event graph. Here we have our on component begin overlap and end overlap, and we're basically adding it to the interactables array, and then we're picking up those items. We also created, in our interface, we created two more functions, which we are not using currently, so it's in range and out of range. If you don't have these two created, just open up your interact BPI, and here just add functions that you need. We've done mine in the beginning of the video where we created this, so we can just on begin overlap, when we add the first interactable in the array, we can get it. So get a copy, we'll get the first one, so on index 0, and drag from here, and we'll call this in range, so in range message, and that will send the message to the overlapping item. And in interactable items, in event graph, here when we got event interact, we can also double click on in range. We'll create a custom event, and now when we are in range, we will just first get this interact prompt widget and set visibility, and we'll make it visible. That was a compile and save. But now this will only make it visible when we close to items. If we don't pick them up, they will all have this interact prompt visible. So we also need to make it not visible when we leave the range of the item or when we pick it up. So go back to player blueprint, drag this remove back, and now before we remove it from the array, we can get it as well. So get the first one, we can drag from here, and we will do out of range message. We connect it here, and now in interactable items, double click on out of range, and we do the same thing. We will get this, copy it, and we will make it invisible again. So now if you were to go close to items, you can pick it up, it will disappear, and go to next one and pick it up again. Problem is now, if you're standing on one spot where there is more than one item and you pick it up and then you're not moving, it's not showing you another one. So we can fix that as well. We can go to our player blueprint, and now here, after we remove the item that we were interacting with, overlapping, it removes it from the array. And now we can check if there is more items in that array. So we can check if interactable's length is greater than 0. And if it is greater than 0, we do branch check, connect it here. It's getting a bit messy again. We can connect it here. And if it is greater than 0, we can again get this first object, which will be now on index 0 because we removed the previous one, and we will call that in range function again, which will show the next object interact widget. If it's false, we don't have to do anything. We compile and save. And now if you were to go to game, you can just pick up and the next one will show. Now you can see we only saying pick up iron sword, so we need to change that. Go to interact prompt, actually go to interactable items. Now we need to pass on the item info. So what we can do is on event begin play, drag from here, do cast to interact prompt, interact prompt widget, not the class, Now we need the object, but you can just get a widget. Get widget, interact prompt, which will just get this one from here as an object. And now we can set its item info. And we can set the item info from here, from the item, which we already got from our data table from construction script. So compile and save. And now we got item info in interact prompt, so we can delete tick and pre-construct. And on construct, we could just get the item info, break it open. Now, in your designer, make sure this text is variable. So now we can compile and get it here. Get it up here, and we can set text function and connect it here. We could just connect directly the name, but I would just say iron sword or plate armor. But we also want to say pickup. So right click anywhere and search for append. Search for append string. And now we can put two strings together. So connect the, no, don't connect, just write pickup here, space, and then connect name in second one. And now just return value into text. And now when you go to play the game, it will show you pick up steel helmet, pick up plate armor, pick up plate pants. I also don't like what it looks like. We created our nice rarity system in previous video, so I would like it to be different color. So like pick up and blue iron sword, or like epic wooden club. And only way at the moment to do that is if you don't want to have multiple text blocks next to each other, which is really hard to fit together nicely without spaces and everything, we can use rich text block. So here type in rich text block, and this rich text block will allow us to style the part of the sentence, so each separate word can be different color. So we can just select this here, right click on our text block, and we do replace with and replace with rich text block. This rich text block, we need to set the default style. So override default style, because if you don't put that there and you would type in some text, it would just give you complete gibberish. Doesn't make sense because it doesn't have a default style. So if you check this and go to font, we set font family to Roboto. I'll do size 20. Maybe let's make it bold. And outline settings, so we can see it better on the screen. This is like a shadow of the text, so we can do outline settings too. And outline color needs to be black. Color itself of the font we will change to white. And now we could type in text, but instead what we're going to do, we need to create data table for each text, which will hold all the different colors and everything. So in here, text style set, click and click on data table. This will create data table for us. We will call it rich text or rarity rich text. We will underscore data table dt and save it in your blueprints. Now here we need to select rich text style row, which will change it to correct style of the data table. And now when we open it, we have only row name and text style. We can add new row, and this will be our rarity colors. So common or rarity types. We need to set the font family to Roboto, size to 20. We can do bold. Font material we don't need. Outline settings is like shadow, so I'll do size 2. Outline color is black, and color we can get from player blueprint. In our get rarity color function, we got all the colors set here, so you can open it up and you can connect. You can copy it from the hex color, the first one. So copy, go back to data table and paste it in here in the color. Open it up and paste, and we got our first rarity color and text. Now, don't just add a new one because you will have to set all the text again. You can duplicate here or Control and D. This one will be uncommon. We'll get the color again, so the green one. And paste it in here. And you get the idea, we need to do all of them like this. Rare. I again didn't duplicate it, so there we go. Rare. Control. Paste it. Duplicate. Epic. I'll just duplicate it twice. This one will be legendary. And now, once we have them all done, just save these. And now the way you can get this, like activate this style, in our interact prompt, in the graph, what we need to do, you can get rid of this part, rid of this text and text block, drag in the rich text block, set text. You can do this one, or I prefer this widget, set text. And now we can do again append. String. And now if you just type in anything, it will be the default font. But to activate these ones, you need to type in the brackets the name of the row. So common, and then type in the text, which will be now the grayish color that we have set up. And then to end it, we'll just type in the brackets /. And that's it. And now we need to create it for our item rarity, so we can just do switch on rarity. And this text we can just promote to variable. This one will be text, or rich text. And we can set it on each of these. And you would create this append. Now we need to type in pickup before this, so pickup space, then common, then remove this. In the second append slot, it would go the item name. You would add a pin, and then you would close the style, which needs to be done as well. And now we can connect it to rich text and set it here. But we need to create this for all of them. But this function here in an event graph will get quite messy. So what we can do is, what we need, select all these. Just this. Right click, collapse to function. We got name and selection from rarity as inputs. Rename this to rarity text. Open it up, and here we click on this function here, and let's change the input, first one to name and second one to rarity. And now we just need to return node after this, and we would return this text and create a return node. So copy this, paste it, this one will be, this one as well, this one will be uncommon, so you have to type in uncommon. This one will have a name, and return value will go to text. We'll have to copy it 3 more times. So rare, epic, and legendary. Connect them all. And now, what was my missing name? Now compile and save. Go back to event graph. We got this set up. Return value will just be here, and text block. And now if you were to go to game, you would pick up the legendary plate armor, steel helmet, plate armor, plate pants. And the one thing is, it's not set to be in the middle, so justification is wrong. So just go back to interact prompt, designer, and there's justification here, set it to middle. And then now there will be one problem as well, which is the widget at the moment is just inside the item here. So if you move the item somewhere else, or if it bounces off the rock or whatever, it would have its pickup line. The widget will be where it originally spawned as well, and we don't want that because it's all over the place. To fix that, we can just go to our interactable items and drag this interact prompt to item mesh. Now it will be part of the mesh, so it will move with it no matter where it is. One more thing is, I mentioned that this interactable prompt will not just be used for picking up items. So what we can do to reuse it is we can create new enumeration. So blueprint enumeration, this one will be interact type _e. Open it up, and in here we will create, first one will be pickup item, and just to test it, we can type in open door, save it, and now in your interact prompt, we'll create a new variable. It will be interact type of the interact type enumerator we just created. Compile and save, and now on construct, we could just get it. We would switch. And we can pick up the item, connect it here, and then we will do something else on open the door. And we could just set it on the item, same as we did with interactable items in event graph. Here when we're getting it, and setting the item info. We can also grab from interact prompt and set interact type, and this one is for pickup item, and you can just select it from drop down menu, and this is how we reuse it later. And that's about it. That's how we create the interact prompt. One more thing I just noticed is, I mentioned this when we were creating our plate armor, that its pivot point was quite far away from the armor itself. That's because we are creating it from skeletal mesh. But we can't fix it here, we will have to fix it in Blender, so don't worry, I noticed it as well. And I'll just make one video where we will be fixing things. Alright, so that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Bye.